Good morning. All members will come to the floor. Get close to your seats. All members come to the floor. The hour of convening having arrived. All members, please take their seats. Mr. Clerk, will you ring the bell? We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members now voted? All members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors and keep them closed? As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 15th House District, Governor's Floor Leader, Representative Matthew Gamble. Representative Gamble.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, it's awesome to be able to introduce Pastor Travis Rutland today. Travis serves as the lead pastor at the church at Liberty Square in Cartersville and has served in this capacity since January of 2023. In addition to pastoring the church at Liberty Square, Travis serves as the president of Global Servants. Global Servants is an international nonprofit missions and ministry organization. Global Servants currently has a work in 6 countries and 2 continents. He is a native of Georgia. He holds a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from Southeastern University. Travis and his wife Courtney have been married since 1997, and they have 3 sons, Mark, Owen, and Liam. And our fathers have been friends for a long time, and I've known Travis and known Travis's family for many years now and had the great fortune to have him come to Cartersville, to Liberty Square, and so we're so blessed to have him, and I'm glad that he was able to come today. So would y'all welcome Pastor Travis Rutland.
Thank you. Well, good morning. I'm honored and thrilled to be here with you today. I appreciate Matthew's introduction. That was so kind of him. I want to say a special thank you to Speaker Burns for the invitation. That is humbling, and I'm honored to be here today. When I was a little boy growing up, my dad was actually friends with Governor Joe Frank Harris. And so I remember every time that we drove into Atlanta, when we would drive by the Capitol, my dad would always say, "We have to pray for the governor." So I grew up as a little boy praying for the folks inside these buildings, and I'm honored and excited to be back with you, or be here with you today, to give you a little thought and to pray over all of you. So I appreciate everything that you do. I'm a proud native of Georgia. As Matthew said, I was born in Atlanta, grew up in Conyers for the most part, and I'm thrilled to be here this morning. So I just wanted to give you a quick thought, and I want to be mindful of my time. How do we deal with the world around us? How do we relate to the people that we encounter on a regular basis? Following World War II, there was a Polish anthropologist named Alicia Iwanska, and she immigrated to the United States following World War II, and she began to travel and work at universities, write articles and books. I read an interesting article about her. In 1957, she traveled to the Midwest of America to interview farmers for a book that she was writing. And in the process of interviewing these farmers, she said that all of these farmers had broken down their worldview into three main categories. That the farmers saw the world around them through the prism of scenery, machinery, and people. So the mountains in the distance, the trees, all those kinds of things, they were this scenery that they took for granted. The tractors, the plows, the tools that they used to farm were machinery. And then, people were people. And so I was reading that article, and it reminded me of an encounter that Jesus had in his ministry. I won't read the verses, but it's found in the Gospel of Luke in chapter 10. And in that, a man approaches Jesus, and he talks to Jesus about how can he inherit eternal life. And Jesus says to the man, well, what do you think? And the man says, well, I believe that if you love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, and soul, and you love your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus says, that's it. That's exactly it. Do that, and you'll inherit eternal life. And the man says to Jesus a very intriguing question. He says to him, yes, but who is my neighbor? My feeling is that the man was trying to compartmentalize his life a little bit. He was trying to figure out who did he have to treat as his neighbor. He says to Jesus, yes, but who is my neighbor? And Jesus, as he so often does not answer the question. He instead tells a story. And the story that he tells is probably one of the most famous stories that Jesus told. It's what we know as the parable of the Good Samaritan. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, a man is traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho. He's attacked by thieves, he's beaten, robbed, and left for dead on the side of the road. A priest walks by, sees the man, and continues on his way. A Levite walks by and sees the man and continues on his way. And then Jesus tells us in the story that a Samaritan sees the man and stops and helps him, bandages his wounds, puts the man on his animal, and takes him to an inn, or a hotel for lack of a better word, takes him to an inn and gives him to an innkeeper and says, take care of this man and I'm going to come back and get him. In that story, Jesus is giving us insight into how we relate to others. For most of us, most of the time, the people that we see are nothing more than scenery. The folks in the restaurants dining next to us, the people walking through parking lots, the homeless guys that we see at the stoplight, they are nothing more than the scenery. They are extras in the movie starring us. In the same way that Tom Cruise doesn't hang out with extras on his movie set, we don't either. This is the Travis Rutland movie, and I'm not interested in hanging out with the scenery, with the extras. But the fact of the matter is, they are not mountains far in the distance. They are real people with real needs and real problems. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself. Do I have to help every person that I'm, walk through past in the parking lot? I'm not suggesting that. What I am saying is that we have become conditioned, like the priest and the Levite, to ignore the suffering of the people around us. They both saw the man lying by the side of the road, and they said to themselves, he is nothing more than scenery, and they continued on their way. But the world around us has real needs and real problems. Now, pivot away from the crowds, and instead deal with the people that we look at and interact with on a more regular basis. The waitress at the restaurant, the checkout girl at the grocery store. If you can find a grocery store that still has a checkout person, usually we have to do it ourselves now. But yeah, checkout girl, waitress, teacher, pastor, politicians. All of these, we interact with these people. And the problem is we begin to see them as the farmers that Alicia Iwanska interviewed. We begin to see them as nothing more than machinery. They are machines that are designed to what are machines designed to do? Make our lives easier. So what we begin to do is see them not as people, but is simply a cog in the machine that makes my life simpler. So we're standing at the Walmart, and the girl that's checking us out scans the same item 3 times. She gets our change wrong. She puts the bread in the bottom of the bag, and it gets crushed. And we say to ourselves, she's such an idiot. What's wrong with this girl? But the thing is, maybe she's not an idiot at all. Maybe her mother is dying. And when she gets off work, she's going to go to an assisted living facility and hold her mom's hand as she passes away. But see, we have no concept of that because that girl is not a person to us. She is simply a cog in the machine that makes our life easier. We cannot see people as simply scenery and machinery. So what is the solution? Jesus gives us the solution as the story ends. The story ends, and Jesus says to the man, who was the man who was robbed, who was a neighbor to him. And the man responds and he says, the one who showed him mercy. And Jesus says, go and do likewise. Do you see that? So many of us want to shrink who we think of is our neighbor. We want to shrink it as the man. Who's my neighbor? Jesus expands our understanding of who our neighbor is. We want to say it's just the people who believe what I believe. It's just the people who think like I do. It's just the people who vote like I do. But that is not what Jesus is saying to us. Jesus is saying expand your worldview. The whole world out there, that is your neighbor. Go and do likewise. That's what I would encourage everybody here in this house and anywhere that's watching online or anything else. The people around us are not scenery, and they are not machinery. They are real people with real needs and real problems. And we are called to show them love, mercy, and forgiveness. Jesus, we say to Jesus, who is our neighbor? And Jesus says, the whole world is. Go and do likewise. If you will, stand with me and join me in prayer. God, we come to you right now. I thank you for every man and woman in this chamber. I ask that you would bless them, that you would give them wisdom and your guidance. They are making important decisions that affect the people of Georgia, and I ask that you would be with them, that you would guide them and direct them, give them your wisdom, your knowledge on all things. I intercede for them. I ask that you bless them, you bless their families, everything that they put their hand towards, that you would bless. Be with them, guide and direct them. We thank you for all your many blessings. In Jesus' powerful name we pray. Amen and amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic.
Thank you, Brother Travis, for that message. Doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors. Members, you may join Brother Travis out in the South Ante room and thank him for his message today and have a photo. Members, our doctor of the day today is brought to us by the invitation of Chairlady Katie Dempsey. Is Dr. John Cowan. Dr. John Cowan. We're glad to have him, and if you get a chance, say hello to him and thank him for his service, for being with us. And members, we can get your attention. Chair recognizes Chairman Tarvin, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits. Chairman Tarvin.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal from the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And today is day 31, and you know we need to stay alert, and we have a hands-free, non-distracted driving law in Georgia. So here's a little of the symbolism. Stay alert. Life is one big highway with a lot of signs, crossroads, and forks.
Stay alert. Stay alert. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Tarvin, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, report that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Administration of the 104th moves following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 1449 by Representative Collins, the 71st, Smith of the 18th, Huddleston of the 72nd, Smith of the 70th. The bill being entitled an act to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Villa Rica.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1450 by Representative Holly, the 116th, Douglas, the 78th, Mathiak of the 74th, Crow of the 118th, Lewis Ward of the 115th, and others. The bill being entitled an act to amend an act creating the Henry County Airport Authority.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1451 by Representative Franklin of the 160th. The bill being entitled an act to provide a new charter for the city of Brooklyn.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1452 by Representative Gaines, the 120th. The bill be entitled an act to amend Code Section 22-152 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to special education services.
Education.
House Bill 1453 by Representative Corbett of the 174th, Cannon of the 172nd, Perkle of the 169th. Bill be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2, Chapter 8, Title 12 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions regarding solid waste management.
Natural resources and environment.
House Bill 1454 by Representative Jones, the 60th, Bruce, the 61st, Evans, the 57th, Panitch, the 51st, Roberts, the 52nd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Fulton County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1455 by Representative Saints, the 180th. The bill be titled an act to provide a homestead exemption from the city of St. Mary's ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Resolution 1333 by Representative Mathis of the 149th. A resolution recognizing Mr. Jerry Van Dykes and dedicating a bridge in his honor.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1334 by Representative Bonner of the 73rd, Mathiak of the 74th, Bazemore of the 69th, Clark of the 100th, Cannon of the 172nd. A resolution honoring the life of Colonel Benjamin Studdard Malcolm and dedicating a bridge in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1335 by Representative Cameron of the 1st and Tarvin of the 2nd. A resolution honoring the life of Mr. James Cameron Scroggins and dedicating a bridge in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1336 by Representative Jackson of the 165th, Stevens of the 164th, Westbrook of the 163rd, Gilliard of the 162nd, Petrie of the 166th, and others. A resolution honoring the life of Representative Edward Mickey Stevens and dedicating an interchange in his memory.
Intergovernmental coordination.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1441 by Representative Meeks of the 178th, Werkheiser of the 157th, the bill to provide a homestead exemption from Appling County School District ad valorem taxes for educational purposes. House Bill 1442 by Representative Deloach of the 167th, the bill to authorize the City of Darien to exercise all redevelopment and other powers under the Redevelopment Powers Law. House Bill 1443 by Representative Holland of the 54th, Evans of the 57th, Silcox of the 53rd, Evans of the 89th, Bruce of the 61st, and others. A bill to provide for operation of automatic transit lane vehicle lane monitoring devices for the enforcement of traffic in transit vehicle lanes in the City of Atlanta. House Bill 1444 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Neal of the 79th, Douglas of the 78th, Burnell of the 77th, Bell of the 75th. A bill to amend an act creating the Clayton County Board of Commissioners. House Bill 1445 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd. A bill to amend an act to provide a new charter for the City of Thomasville. House Bill 1446 by Representative Persinger of the 119th, Abstration of the 104th, Gaines of the 120th. A bill to amend an act recreating and establishing a Board of Commissioners of Barrow County. House Bill 1447 by Representative Persinger of the 119th, Gaines of the 120th, Abstration of the 104th. A bill to provide a new charter for the City of Statham, Georgia. House Bill 1448 by Representative Mathis of the 149th, a bill to create Board of Elections and Registration for Dodge County. House Resolution 1325 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, a resolution recognizing Mr. Jeff Downing and dedicating an intersection in his honor. House Resolution 1326 by Representative Maynard of the 56th, Williams of the 168th, McLean of the 109th, Mitchell of the 88th, Gilliard of the 162nd, and others. Resolution honoring Mr. Maceo A. Brown, dedicating an intersection in his memory. House Resolution 1327 by Representative Maynard of the 56th, Williams of the 168th, McLean of the 109th, Mitchell of the 88th, Gilliard of the 162nd, and others. Resolution honoring Mrs. Carolyn Lucille Long Banks and dedicating an intersection in her memory. House Resolution 1328 by Representative Persinger of the 119th, Gaines of the 120th, Abstration of the 104th. A resolution honoring the life of Mr. Douglas Doug H. Garrison and dedicating an intersection in his memory. House Resolution 1332 by Representative Mathis of the 149th. A resolution recognizing Mr. Richard Ricky Allen Dykes and dedicating an intersection in his honor. Senate Bill 531 by Senator Jackson of the 41st, Butler of the 55th, Parent of the 42nd, Anderson of the 43rd. A bill to amend an act to create and establish in DeKalb County districts from which members of the County Board of Education of DeKalb County shall be elected. Senate Bill 558 by Senator Harrell of the 40th. A bill to amend an act creating a new charter for the City of Doraville. Senate Bill 560 by Senator Harrell of the 40th. A bill to amend an act creating a new charter for the City of Doraville. Senate Bill 562 by Senator Jackson of the 41st, Butler of the 55th, Parent of the 42nd, Davenport of the 44th, Anderson of the 43rd, and others. A bill to amend an act to provide a new charter for the City of Pine Lake. Through second readers.
Members, the chair actually assigned a committee to assigned a bill, House Resolution 1336 a few minutes ago, honoring the life of Representative Mickey Stevens, a former member of this House, to intergovernmental coordination. The proper committee should be transportation. Mr. Clerk, if you will make that change, I would appreciate it. Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Josh Bonner, the 73rd District Chairman of the Committee on Defense and Veteran Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Defense and Veteran Affairs has had under its consideration the following bills of the Senate and has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 398 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Josh Bonner, the 73rd District Chairman. Representative Bill Werkheiser, the 157th District Chairman of the Committee on Industry and Labor, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Industry and Labor has had under its consideration the following bill of the Senate. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. and Senate Bill 384 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Bill Werkheiser of the 157th District, Chairman. Representative Eddie Lumsden of the 12th District, Chairman on Committee on Insurance, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Insurance has had under its consideration the following bill of the Senate and has instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 307 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Eddie Lumsden of the 12th District, Chairman. Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals had under its consideration the following bills of the House and the Senate. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1374 do pass. House Bill 1427 do pass. House Bill 1436 do pass. House Bill 1438 do pass. Senate Bill 504 do pass. House Bill 1413 do pass by substitute. House Bill 1422 do pass. House Bill 1423 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Members, we do have a local calendar this morning. We have a local calendar, and it does have a couple of bills that require a 2/3 vote. In fact, there are 3 of them on the local calendar relate to homestead exemption and do require that recorded 2/3 roll call vote for passage. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. Mr. Clerk, will you read the local calendar?
House Bill 1374 by Representative Campbell of the 35th, City of Ackworth. House Bill 1427 by Representative Stinson of the 150th, Dooley County. House Bill 1436 by Representative Yurda of the 152nd, Lee County. House Bill 1438 by Representative Williams of the 148th, City of Cordele. Senate Bill 504 by Senator Burns of the 23rd, Warren County. House Bill 1413 by substitute by Representative Rose of the 124th, Putnam County. House Bill 1422 by Representative Wade of the 9th, Dawson County. House Bill 1423 by Representative Wade of the 9th, Dawson County.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the local calendar, the yeas are 158, the nays are 0. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. Members, we have some important recognitions this morning. We have a lot of good folks who's traveled great distances to be with us. So I would ask the members of this house to give them your attention. as they are recognized by our members in the well. Members, we have a whole slew of morning orders. You will have 1 minute to have your say. Watch the lights. We will begin our morning orders with Chairman Jaspers. Is that Whip Burchett? Who is that coming with you? Some of your friends? Oh, we have some friends of yours. Well, we'll let them join you. Those that need to join Chairman Jaspers, he does have friends.
Thank you,
Yeah, I
Mr.
know
Speaker.
you were surprised too.
Well, I'm glad to know that, Mr. Speaker. But glad to get started with our recognitions this morning to recognize a very special group of folks who are here that make a tremendous economic impact across our state. And that's our airports. And if they'll stand up as I talk about them, they're from your communities. Let's give them a hand and welcome them. You know, there's 95 general aviation airports, 8 commercial, 103. You know the impact they make in your community, and I hope you join me and welcome you guys here. Go by and see your representatives. They look forward to visiting you. Bye now.
Big part of our state's health and well-being is our airports. Thank you for what you do. We appreciate you being here. Representative Pedro Marin is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to congratulate a group of proud Georgians, residents that have
Representative, you'll
Yes, sir.
suspend just for a minute.
Thank you. Today I rise to congratulate a proud group of Georgian residents that have taken upon themselves to establish a musical group named Apu Inca. Apu Inca celebrates 15 years of uninterrupted history promoting Peruvian, Latin American, and world culture with its particular Andean instruments. Apu Inca has played in several countries, including Japan, China, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Germany, Italy, among others. So today I have them at the gallery. Would you please stand and be recognized, the group of Apu Inca? Thank you for your work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Beautiful music. Good to have y'all. Representative Nulowitz is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my pleasure today to welcome to the Capitol and to recognize the Boy Scouts of Troop 1. They are celebrating their centennial year this year. They were founded in 1924 at the Log Cabin Church in Vinings. They're a scrappy bunch. They are an active bunch. They do high adventure. They are at Burt Adams. They're at Camp Woodruff. They are throughout the community. And I'm particularly fond of them because this is the troop through which my son earned the rank of Eagle for himself. But this is, again, Troop 1, 100th anniversary, their centennial. It is one of the oldest active scouting groups in Georgia, and it is part of the Silver Comet District of the Atlanta Area Council of the Boy Scouts of America. And we welcome you here today to the People's House. They're right there in the middle. Thank you.
Troop 1, that's pretty impressive. I see they're scrappy. One of them has a broken arm up there, has a cast on his arm. Welcome to the People's House. Representative Bernal is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we are celebrating 6 women in radio. We want to thank the founder of Celebrating Women in Radio, Dee Hill, for honoring some of the most influential voices in the broadcast industry. Marie Boynton, V103, Lisa Nicholas, WSB Radio and formerly CNN, River Blue, Midday Jazz, Sharon C., WAOK AM, Ms. Shanika Streets, 94.5, and Wonderland Stokes, 1380. Ladies, would you please stand so you can be recognized? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Welcome to the People's House. Representative Davis and Chairman Newton, you're recognized. Representative Okoye, Representative Gabe Okoye, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, esteemed colleagues and honored guests. We gather here at the Capitol to celebrate Nurses Day, a time to express our deepest gratitude and appreciation for the invaluable contribution of nurses to our communities, our healthcare system, and our nation as a whole. I want to take this opportunity to highlight the true spirit of nursing, nurses' commitment to excellence, and their empathy towards patients. Please join me in extending a heartfelt thanks and admiration to all nurses. Together, let us support and uplift the nursing profession, ensuring that nurses receive the recognition and respect they truly deserve. I want to recognize the GNA President, Dr. Erica Miles, and ask nurses to please stand and be recognized. Woo! Thank you, and I yield the rail.
Representative Gabe Okoye and, oh, he's singular. Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is going to be short. He always sits back there quietly, but he makes sure that the speaker is safe. That is the guy who maintains security for our speaker. And his name is Chris Choi, and there are two other ones, Trooper Josh Janufka and Trooper David Krelling. Please, let's recognize them. Thank you.
They have a tough job, I guarantee you that, but they do a great job of it. Thanks, gentlemen. Representative Dewey McLean, recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, it's always good to have some of your former colleagues in the House, and today I have Tyrone Poole. Tyrone is a local. He grew up in LaGrange, went to Fort Valley State University, and I know Tyrone is in the audience. Or Tyrone, can we welcome you into the House? There's Tyrone. Tyrone is he's an entrepreneur. He gives back, and if you ever watch a Teenage Ninja, he's still in good shape. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Awesome, good to have you, Tyrone. Appreciate you. Thank you for being Representative McLean's friend. I am too. Representative Roman is recognized for a morning order. And friends.
Good morning, colleagues. Today is Muslim Advocacy Day at the Capitol. It ends at 11 a.m., not 11 p.m. Apologies for the typo. Today we have here the Georgia Muslim Voter Project, Iman Atlanta, and CARE Georgia. So please give them a round of applause. There's some on the side, some up there. So thank y'all so much for being here. They'll be at the ropes, too.
Representative Schofield, you're recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I am proud to recognize 40 years of service and leadership of the executives of the Georgia chapter of the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, known as NOBEL. Their work in law enforcement and commitment to communities across Georgia is immeasurable. Oh, how we love to thank our law enforcement public servants. Noble executives, please stand. They're in the gallery. Colleagues, let's thank GBI and Noble executives that have come here, the national president and all of our chapters. Thank you for being here. We love you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Thank you,
Come
Representative.
down to the anteroom and take a picture with us.
come down to the third floor, and she'll welcome you to the ante room for a photo. Thank y'all for being here. Leader F. Stration is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentlemen, we'll suspend just for a moment. This is a special morning order. Members, if you'll give the gentleman in the well your attention, we have a further recognition of a fine group of folks that are here with us today. Mr. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To add to Representative Anolawitz's remarks, today is Scouts Day at the Capitol, where scouts from all over our state come to see us work here at the state capitol. I know in my life as a member of Troop 568 in Gwinnett County, where I attained the rank of Eagle Scout. My son currently is in a Cub Scout pack in Gwinnett County. To see the great work that Scouts does. Scouting's the top organization for character development and value-based leadership training in the United States. If you see the Scouts around the Capitol, please say hello, and if there are Scouts in our gallery, if you'll please rise so that we can recognize you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Scouts, for being here. Y'all have a nice crowd here today. Thanks for being here. We appreciate what the Boy Scouts stand for. You develop great leaders. Thank you for what you do. The pro tem of this House, Representative Jan Jones, has a morning order, and I hope she does have some friends with her as well. That's right. Know a little bit about education, I'd say.
Well, good morning, members. I am delighted to be here along with members of the pre-K working group that Speaker Burns appointed to give you a preview of the 2024 Georgia Pre-K Week, which this year will be held October 7th through 11th. And I encourage every one of you to go read in one of the pre-K classrooms in your district. 70% of legislators participated in the past, and it's a great opportunity to see the hands of Georgia state government helping our youngest learners. And I just thought I'd mention, in 1992, when Governor Zell Miller launched a pilot program, there were only 754-year-olds. 32 years later, we have 73,000 children this year in Georgia pre-K. Georgia is one of only 9 states to serve more than half of the state's 4-year-olds. Will you help me welcome and recognize a few folks who are here. First, we have Callie, the decal mascot, up at the top. Yeah. And we have Polly McKinney from Voices, Liz Young, Devin Porter, Jerry Brown, and our commissioner, Amy Jacobs from Decal. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the work you do. We have Chris Broadman from the president of Junior League of Atlanta, and we have one of our Georgia Pre-K Teachers of the Year. Thank you for being here, and thank you for what you do for Georgia's youngest learners. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Thanks to that working group. Your work over the summer, we're going to make a difference. Thank you to all of you involved in pre-K. Thank you, Callie. I like the 2 pink ribbons on your ears. It looks good. Good to have y'all. Thank you for what you're doing. Representative Reese, Representative Buckner, Representative Hughley, and Representative Saines recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on this morning, as we welcome nurses from around the state of Georgia here to the People's Capital, we would like to acknowledge some very special students that we have from Columbus State University, one of the best and brightest nursing programs that we have in the state of Georgia. If the Columbus State University crew would please stand and say hello. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you to our nurses. Right, thanks for doing that, delegation. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the profession and professional nurses. Members, if I can have your attention, that completes our morning orders. We have a very special invite resolution. No. I know this is your first rodeo there, Chair Lady. I want you up here. Members, this is a special group of folks that protect us all as Georgians, our property, but there's also something now we call the urban interface. I think, isn't that right? That is that barrier between where we all now live, many of us live, that's adjacent to the forest of this state. That this group of dedicated individuals make a tremendous effort to protect that forest, but more importantly, protect us as citizens. So thank you for that. Before we do this, have this resolution, Mr. Director. So at this time, Mr. Clerk, will you read a resolution, the caption?
House Resolution 1345 by Representative Houston of the 170th and Jackson of the 128th. A resolution recognizing and commending the McDuffie-Warren County Unit on being named the Georgia Forestry Commission 2023 North Georgia Unit of the Year, the Berrien County Unit on being named the 2023 South Georgia Unit of the Year, Forest Protection Area 9 being named the 2023 Forest Protection Area of the Year, and Jason McMullen on being named the 2023 Forester of the Year.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We will now recognize Chairlady Penny Houston to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is an honor for me to be here today to recognize two units and a person who's done so much for the state to protect you. Of course, it's really special since one of these people I'm recognizing, they're from Berrien County, where I'm from, so it makes it even more special because they really protect all of us. And it's like a wise man that sits on the front, Representative James Brashear told me, that when a fire comes, these men run toward the fire, not away from the fire like we do. And we do appreciate that because they do protect us and protect our forest land. And as you probably know, Georgia is one of the global leaders in timber in this country. And also, I was surprised to learn that 22,000 acres of privately owned timberland are in our state. And these men protect all of it. And we just want to show our appreciation and honor them. And first of all, there's another county, Representative Jackson represents, McDuffie and Warren County. And McDuffie and Warren County's unit was named the Georgia Forestry Commission 2023 Georgia Unit of the Year. And also was named for the South Georgia Unit of the Year was the Berrien County Fire Department. And in the 2023 Forest Protection Area of the Year was also named, and that was area number 9, of which Berrien County is a member, and so is Camilla. And I thought I'd point that out to you. And also, I would like to tell you that we have James McMullen here, and he's been named the 2023 Forester of the Year. And they protect us, they protect our forestry, and these people were named this because of their leadership and their dedication to protect people in forest lands. And I want to say thank you, and if you get a chance, please come speak with them. And I'd like to ask our Forest Commission, Tim Loudermilk, to come say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is a tremendous pleasure to be here, and I'll be brief. I know you got a lot on your calendar and on your schedule today. I do want to acknowledge that we've got some of our other great employees up in the balcony there. I'd like for them to stand, and maybe we can give them and our folks up here on the podium a round of applause. if you will, Mr. Speaker, I would just take a brief moment to say many of you in this House recognize and know that my experience came from the private sector. I've been the director. I've had the opportunity to serve underneath Governor Kemp. The pleasure to serve him as the director for the Georgia Forestry Commission now for 3 years. And one of the lessons, and I think it's pertinent to today, one of the lessons that I have learned coming from the private sector and getting to work with these great men and women at the Georgia Forestry Commission is just their willingness to serve. Their willingness to serve in communities where they live, their willingness to serve in communities that need their help. Just this past year, the Berrien County office and the Area 9 responded to the hurricane that came through Valdosta. We are generally one of the first on the ground with chainsaws clearing roads for power companies and for them to get back in to restore power. The other thing that makes me really proud, and I want to point out to this body, is that when we have time here slow and we don't have an active fire season, our state is known around the country to having some of the best and brightest to pick up, get away from their families, leave their communities, and go serve other places like Texas, California, any state where there may be a wildfire. We're some of the first to show up. Right now we have 5 in Oklahoma, and we have 1 serving on an overhead team in Texas putting out wildfires. And I often get asked, why don't we have major wildfires here in Georgia? I think there's several reasons, and I'll be brief. A lot of it is that our properties here in Georgia, 91% of our forest, that 22 million acres, is owned by private forest landowners. Our agency recognizes that. They understand that's an investment account. That's a child's college education account. That's a wedding. That's a retirement account for a landowner, for a forest landowner. And we don't have fires in Georgia because we take responding and putting fires out serious in our state. Our average response time to a wildfire is 24 minutes. Our wildfire size in our state is 5 acres. I would put that up against any other state in the union. So thank you for taking the time to recognize these young men and women and for the work they do. I can promise you they're servants for our state, and they get up every day and go to work for you hard and do their job with great pride and great honor. So thank you for recognizing us.
And thank you so much for the job you're doing.
Thank you.
And the changes you brought to our area.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
I'm going to wear my glasses next time I come.
Mr. Director, I just want to add to your comment from the standpoint of how important our forests are to our quality of life. Sustainable, renewable, environmentally friendly. We can't do without our trees. And we appreciate all the work the men and women of the Georgia Forest Commission do to protect our trees, but more importantly, protect our citizens. Y'all stand in the gap for us, and we appreciate it. And I will say one more thing. Chairman of Appropriations, do we not stand with the Georgia, does not this House stand with the Georgia Forestry Commission, supporting them and doing our part to help them sustain their mission? Would I not be correct? Absolutely. And we'll talk about that a little bit later today. Thank you, members. Members, we'll move on to the rules calendar. Move on to the rules calendar. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 377. 377.
Senate Bill 377 by Senator Tillery of the 19th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Burns of the 23rd, and others, being titled an act to amend Titles 15 and 49 in the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to courts and social services, respectively, so as to provide for the licensing of qualified residential treatment programs. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Public and Community Health, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Doorkeepers, if you'll monitor these doors a little closer for me. Members, don't block the doors. They need to be open or closed, but not open on a permanent basis. Members will please come into the chamber and take your seats and give the lady who's getting ready to present Senate Bill 377 your attention. Chair Lady Katie Dempsey is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is truly a simple but very important bill for our Georgia. SB 377 actually will help amend titles that need to be in a compliance with the federal requirements. Certain funds under Title 4E, the federal code, require that we do this licensing for DHS and clean up the definition to make us eligible for more federal money that can help child welfare services. It has a very positive budgetary impact. So it will define and clarify that a qualified residential treatment program, QRTP, is a type of child caring institution that can be licensed by the Department of Human Services. This is actually a great collaboration between DCH and DHS, which both brought this bill in support to help us meet these demands and continue to take care of Georgia's most needy children. Trauma-informed care to children with serious emotional and behavioral health disorders. This will be another place, not permanent, but for them to temporarily reside and get better. Mr. Speaker, if there are any questions, I will take them. If not, I will yield the well.
Lady has a question to your left. Representative Kennard has a question.
Yes.
Yes, do you yield?
Yes.
What is the age range that these particular centers are serving?
I'm going to tell you that I don't have that in front of me, but I will go find out real quickly and try to get it in front of me. But it is for our minor children. It's for some of the children that have been so hard to place. It will be the best care that they can receive. It is not a mandate. You don't have to do this, but it will help greatly.
Okay, I'll come see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lady has no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask for your favorable support to help Georgia's children.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members. All members voted, I believe. If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of Senate Bill, almost did that, Senate Bill 377. The yeas are 168, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of Senate Bill 352?
Senate Bill 352 by Senator Anderson of the 24th, Albers the 56th, Robertson the 29th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to motor vehicles, equipment, and inspection so as to provide for standards for the alteration and operation of motor vehicles with modified suspension systems. This bill having referred to the Committee on Motor Vehicles, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Representative John Carson is recognized to present the bill. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to present before the House Senate Bill 352. What this does, folks, is it does two main things. You can take a look at the screens of what is known in some localities as the Carolina squat. I can't say I have a lot of these in my district, but I was asked to carry this bill. But basically what the squat does is it basically lowers the back end, or some raise or lower the front end substantially, and it's a public safety hazard if you talk to local law enforcement, state law enforcement. So the first thing this does in lines 48 through 52 is eliminate what is known as the Carolina squat. And as you can imagine, if you're going down the highway and your back end is lowered, your headlights are not on the ground, and you don't really have as good eyes in front of you, on the road in front of you. The second thing this does is removes arbitrary language in lines 17 and 20 in regard to factory recommendations of suspension. Those are not disclosed by Ford or GM or Toyota or Nissan. So we're removing that language, going to amount of height between the ground and the frame, in addition to prohibiting the Carolina squat. And that's really all the bill does, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy to take a question. If there's no questions, I will be happy to yield it well.
I think you have a tactical question to your left, if you will.
Yes, sir, I will yield.
This gentleman may want to know how you accomplished that raising and lowering. Chairman Parsons is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Speaker. Gentleman, yield.
Yes, sir, I will to my friend.
Isn't it true? I do not really have a technical question, I don't think, but I have not read the bill, and I have to admit that. I'm kind of surprised that we have this bill, but isn't it true? I'm in agreement with the bill, I believe, but my question is this Carolina squat that you referenced, is there some definition of, I mean, just to see the picture is one thing, but I've actually never seen a truck like that. But is there actually a definition of what the Carolina squat actually is?
Well, in legal terms, no, but basically, if you can take a look at line 51, it basically, the bill allows an owner of a car, a vehicle in Georgia, to adjust the suspension front or rear by at most 4 inches, but no more than that. Is there a technical definition? No. I've heard from the whip that there's another colloquialism for the Alabama slammer or something like that. I do not have a legal definition, but you can see clearly what effect that would have on public safety, not having the headlights or the driver's eyes on the road.
Well, further yield.
Yes, sir.
Well, isn't it true that I applaud you and the author of the bill for bringing it forward? I agree with it. Is that not true? I just am kind of surprised that we're putting it into code that we would certain elevations of a frame of a vehicle off the frame would be in a law, but anyway, I appreciate you bringing it. Thank you.
I understand that. To my Cobb County friend, it already is in code in 40.8.6. We're removing a secondary reference in another code section. With that, Mr. Speaker, if there's no other...
Mr. Chairman, if you would yield for one more
I'd be glad
question
to.
from someone who may have some firsthand knowledge and experience would.
Oh, this will be interesting. Yes, sir. I'll
Yes,
yield.
sir. To your right, Representative Jason Ridley
Oh,
has a
gosh.
question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does my friend yield?
Of course I do.
Well, I got a question for you.
Yes,
so
sir.
let's just say this is if you do this, but if I've got a truck and I haven't done anything to it, and Lauren Daniels gets in the back of it. Lauren McDonald gets in the back of it.
Whoa, well, okay.
Yeah, you're
Am I
out,
still
you're out of
legal?
order, I can tell you that.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to go ahead and put an E up and leave for the day.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's wise for me to yield the well and ask for the favorable consideration.
Gentleman's yielded well. I knew there was a technical question on this point, but I think for you Bulldog fans, this is what y'all do to South Carolina. You beat the squat out of them, so let's go on. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? For what purpose does Representative Maynard rise?
Is it not true, Mr. Speaker, that
Is this a parliamentary inquiry?
Parliamentary inquiry.
Yeah, I state your inquiry.
Is it not true in Atlanta we call that just simply car hydraulics?
I'm sure the lady may have some, no, maybe she doesn't, but I'm sure she knows of what she speaks about car hydraulics. For what purpose does Representative Moore rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that if you were to take a walk through the legislative parking lot that everybody has a truck? We should know something about that, right?
Yeah, I had one most of my life, but it didn't look like that. Have all members now voted? If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of Senate Bill 352, the yeas are 136, the nays are 33. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Good morning, members. Again, we have a special invited guest. Members, doorkeepers, will you, you don't have to lock the doors, but if you'll close them, that would be helpful. Because I know that all this commotion I hear is not coming from the House floor. We have a very special guest and a friend to many of us in this house. Last time I checked, he was mayor of Atlanta. Still is. Just confirming. The pace gets fast here in the capital city from time to time. So, Mayor Dickens has done an outstanding job. Need I say more? We might just stop right there, Mayor. His support for the Public Training Center that allows our public safety officials to be fully trained to work with the public, to do their jobs in a very professional manner, does not go unnoticed by the professionals who serve us or by the citizens of this city, the communities that surround this city, and by the remainder of this state. We appreciate your dedication and your recognition of the importance of that mission. We also know that the city of Atlanta is not only the capital city of Georgia, I believe it's the capital city of the South, and there's no doubt about that. One last important piece to what makes not only the people and the leadership of Atlanta that makes it so very, very important to the well-being and the quality of life in our state is something called transportation. I don't think anyone would argue that the city of Atlanta, Georgia, is uniquely qualified to be recognized as the transportation hub of this world. And we appreciate what this airport does, what your rail system does, what the transportation system does from the highways and byways to ensure that it continues to be the case in the years that come. And I think I can speak for the members of this House that you will have our full support to ensure the infrastructure in this great city is second to none, especially with a few things you have on the horizon, especially in the sports world, that are going to ensure that Atlanta continues to have that focus of being one of the best places, not only in this country or in the world, to live, work, raise a family, and have a little fun. Mayor Dickens is going to speak to us now. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, it is awesome to stand here before such great leaders. Thank you, Speaker Burns, not only for that introduction, but thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your partnership. It's been great getting to know you and working with you, so thank you. And all of you here, good morning, and thank you for welcoming me this morning to have this opportunity to spend a few moments with this great body. Again, to the Speaker, to Majority Leader F. Strachan and Minority Leader Beverly, members of the Atlanta delegation. I see so many of you. I see them. Raise your hand, ATL. We like to make noise when we're in Atlanta. And all the members of this great body, I thank all of you again, for this opportunity to speak to you. And along with the people of Atlanta, I thank you for the work that you do on behalf of all of the great state of Georgia. It is important to me that we are on good working terms. We have a good working relationship with our state leadership, and that's because of you. I appreciate that although we may not all stand on the same political party, we can stand together to uplift the people of Atlanta and uplift the people of Georgia. The city of Atlanta enjoys an excellent working relationship with many of our state partners, especially when it comes to one of the most important issues for us, and that is public safety. We have had an outstanding set of support from the GBI, the Georgia State Patrol, and other state agencies as we work together to reduce crime in and around Atlanta. These partnerships have helped us to significantly reduce our crime numbers in 2023. In fact, the city of Atlanta had the third highest drop in homicides than any other city in the United States. We ended the year with citywide major crimes against people down by 15%, homicides down by 21%. That includes double-digit drops in aggravated assaults, shootings, and rapes. The horrible crime of rape was down 51% in the city of Atlanta last year. All of this underscores our work to create a safer environment for the people who live and work in the city of Atlanta, and I know that's a common goal for all of us. Another common goal that we share is figuring out how to bring more affordable housing options to the people that are in this city and in the entire state of Georgia. The lack of affordable housing, that challenge is not just an Atlanta challenge, that's a challenge for the entire state. And that's why I'm so proud to be in partnership with Commissioner Chris Nunn here, who's up in the balcony. He is the commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs that helps us so much. It is especially challenging as we work to house the unsheltered residents of our communities. But luckily for us, again, we have dedicated partners. A rapid housing effort that started with an offer of shipping containers from our state partners at GEMA has led to what we call the Melody. And nearly 40 previously unsheltered people now have a clean and safe place to lay their heads at night. Thank you. Every one of these people, they have a story. And I'll just give you one of them. His name is George. He's a truck driver. George trained to be a truck driver. He has a CDL. But then he had a stroke, and as he was on his way to Grady Hospital, he had another one. And he ultimately ended up having 5 strokes in a very short amount of time. So he couldn't drive trucks anymore, and therefore he lost his job. But ultimately, he ended up losing his home. Here's a guy who tried to make all the right choices, trained to do what he loves, he paid his bills, and all it took was a medical emergency to drive him into the streets of Atlanta. We had people like George in mind when we launched this rapid housing initiative and called this one the Melody. When you start putting a face on the problem and you hear the stories, you realize that some of the people who work the hardest and try to do the best thing, they can find themselves upside down at the end of the day. And that's where their government is and should be there to help. So part of helping means being able to talk to one another and being able to hear one another. That happened when we were able to keep the city of Atlanta whole last year. As I said then, we're going to keep moving Atlanta forward. We're going to be one city with one bright future. And my hope is that we can keep open lines of communication going together between this House and my administration. We are all committed to making the best choices in the best interest of the people of this city and the people of the great state of Georgia. Thank you all for welcoming me today, and I'm so excited for the work that you're doing, and I want to continue to stay in great partnership between the city and state. Thank you.
Just right. Just right. Mayor, thank you for your remarks. We look forward to continuing this partnership. This House believes in you, Mayor, and we believe this House believes in you and your leadership, the leadership of this House. On both sides of the aisle, every member are leaders in this state, and we look forward to continuing our partnership with the city of Atlanta. As Atlanta goes, so goes our state. So we're all in this together. Thank you for your leadership. Thanks for being here. Thank you, members. Members, you may join the mayor in the South Ante room if you'd like to have a photo with him, his staff. It will be awesome. I know he would appreciate your greeting him. Members, let me give you a little bit of information about our posture the rest of this morning and the day. We will be continue with the rules calendar. We'll break around 12 for lunch. Then we'll come back an hour later and we'll take up a very important piece of business for the day and for the state of Georgia. And then we will push all of our committee meetings back 1 hour, 1 hour and a half this afternoon so we can get on with the business of this House and the people of this state. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 410? 410.
Senate Bill 410 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Walker, the 20th, Robertson, the 29th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 3, Chapter 50 of Title 43, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to licensing of veterinarians and veterinary technicians generally, so as to exempt certain sterilization services performed by out-of-state veterinarians. This bill having referred to the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Members, I'm going to interrupt the protocol of this House to recognize a very, very important former member of this House, the former dean of this House, our dear friend, Representative Calvin Smyrie. Representative Smyrie. It's good to see you, friend. Representative Washburn is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I come to present Senate Bill 410. The author is Senator Kirkpatrick. This is a very simple bill. It allows vets and vet technicians that are licensed in other states to obtain a temporary license here in Georgia, a 6-month license, to be able to assist in our nonprofits in spaying and neutering clinics. It's a good bill. It is not opposed by the veterinarians or the county officials, and I ask your favorable consideration of it. I yield for any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee's substitute? Chair hears none. The committee's substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 410, the yeas are 170, the nays are 0. The bill having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 144?
Senate Bill 144 by Senator Islam of the 7th, Dugan of the 30th, Payne of the 54th, Anna Devard of the 31st, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 38-151 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Adjutant General, duties, records, seal, and effect on documentary evidence. This bill having referred to the Committee on Defense and Veteran Affairs. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chairman Bonner, you're recognized to present the bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bring to you Senate Bill 144. This is a request from our Georgia Department of Defense. It simply removes the requirement for the roster of all of our commissioned officers to be published in the annual report to the governor. It also eliminates the need to actually print in hard copy all of the Georgia code that relates to our Department of Defense. That's the bill, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 144, the yeas are 167, the nay is 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 337? 337.
Senate Bill 337 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Albers the 56th, Kennedy the 18th, and others, being entitled an act to amend Code Section 38-111 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to personal aids to camp. Appointments, commissions, length of service, and duties so as to authorize the governor to appoint an honorary Georgia colonels for life. This bill having referred to the Committee on Special Rules. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Saines is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, this is a simple bill to ensure that we have an adequate procedure to honor our Georgians with this special honor of the honorary Georgia colonel, as well as adding a provision for our legislative body to give the honorary title of lieutenant colonel. It modifies what we currently have in law, which is that the honorary title of colonel is for the length of the term of the governor. It modifies that to the lifetime of the honoree. It as well adds the provision to honor a lieutenant colonel would be through the joint resolution of the legislative body. Both of the House and Senate would have to pass, so this is something that would be voted on by the entire body. Mr. Speaker, if there's no questions, I'll yield the well.
Gentleman has a question. If you'll take one to your left. Representative Bernal has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Thank you for bringing this resolution. Those of us that graduated from Toll's Fellowship in Kentucky, we are Kentucky Colonels. So now we'll have the opportunity to possibly be Georgia Colonels. Thank you.
Double Colonel. Gentleman has no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Geary. I'll yield.
Gentleman is yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was to the committee's substitute? The chair hears none. The committee's substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? Have all members voted? For what purpose does Chairman Collins rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry, sir.
Is it not true that this House only has one colonel, and that's Colonel Bill Hitchens?
Well, I hate to agree with you many times, but I'm going to agree with you on that one. For what purpose does Representative Saines rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that this corner is blessed with two great colonels, both in front of me and to the side of me?
Who's the other colonel?
I don't know if I can name him in House rules, but he's.
Oh yeah, he's a
right in
colonel.
front
I
of me.
did forget about that, Mr. Chairman. You're a colonel too. That's why we put y'all together, Mr. Chair, Mr. Colonel, Mr. Chair. Oh, he's too young to be a colonel. He can't be a colonel. You have to have a little gray hair to be a colonel. Well, Representative Chaz Cannon is also a colonel. We stand corrected. Now, I'm going to take one more here. Representative Kennard, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that my favorite colonel is Colonel Sanders?
Mine too. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of the Colonel bill. Senate Bill 337, the yeas are 168, the nays are 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of Senate Bill 369?
Is Senate Bill 369 by Senator Burns of the 23rd, Albers of the 56th, Roberts of the 29th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 2, Title 40, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to registration and licensing of motor vehicles generally, so as to provide for the issuance of a license plates commemorating the United States of America's semi-quincentennial. This bill having referred to the Committee on Motor Vehicles, that committee recommends this bill do pass.
Representative Hagan is recognized to present the bill from down in, Vidalia, Toombs County, Lyons.
Yes,
Lyons.
sir, Mr.
Yes,
Speaker.
ma'am. You're recognized.
We do love Vidalia, especially since the packing date for the Vidalia Onion has been announced as April 17th, but I digress. This is a fabulous bill that's come over from the Senate that would help us in this state celebrate our country's semi-quincentennial anniversary. It would establish a special license plate. The Department of Ed and the Department of Motor Vehicles would be tasked to work together to set up an educational civics program for 6th through 8th graders. They would submit their designs for this special license plate celebrating our semi-quincentennial anniversary, and that plate would be available from 2026 to 2030 for us to have on our cars to celebrate. And Mr. Speaker, that is the bill. And if there are no questions, I would be happy to yield the well.
Lady has a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
To your left, Representative Nulowitz has a question.
Does the lady yield?
I do.
Is it not true that some of us were born during the bicentennial year, and that it cannot possibly be the reality that we are approaching 50 years past that date?
Well, I know you and I couldn't possibly have been alive during the bicentennial,
Absolutely
so I don't
not.
know how these people feel about it, but I don't relate.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Stinson, to your left in the back of the room, has a question, if the lady will yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentlelady yield?
I do.
Is it not true that you mentioned April 17th as the Vidalia Onion Festival?
Packing date for the onions.
But isn't it not further true that April 27th is the Georgia Strawberry Festival in Taylor County, Georgia? And yours truly will be in the parade, and she's inviting everyone in this chamber to be at the Georgia Strawberry Festival on April 27th. Is that not true, Ms.?
That is true, but what is also true is that April 26th is the annual Vidalia Onion Festival in Vidalia, Georgia, and I would invite everyone to come to that one before they go to the Strawberry Festival. Is that not true?
The lady has no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
But I'm going to let you both know, I'm going to assess you both a fine and contribute that to the both parade dates for such blatant advertisement of two fine events. Y'all worked, I believe y'all had that planned. I think y'all did. That was a planned deal. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? For what purpose is Representative Parrish rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, I witnessed and heard some of that noise that was going on. And is it not true that the Cherry Blossom Festival in Macon, Georgia starts on the 15th, goes through 9 days, is an international festival, and I am the Cherry Blossom Queen.
Well, since you mention it, I knew there were a lot of queens in this house, and that just proves it. So let's see. For what purpose? No, you're not. For what purpose does Chairlady Taylor rise, Darlene Taylor?
Parliamentary inquiry. Is it not?
No, ma'am, you're out of order. State your inquiry. I want to make sure everybody hears this one.
Just while we're talking about all these wonderful things, I don't want anybody to forget that April 26th is the 103rd Rose Festival down in Thomasville. We'll have a great parade and a lot of beautiful roses, and y'all need to come. Thank you.
Another Rose Queen, no doubt about that. For what purpose does Chairman Colonel Hitchens rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that as a member of the Georgia State Patrol, I marched in the bicentennial parade in Philadelphia on July 1st, 1976? They all trying to get me to say 1776, but and it was
What year was that? Wait a minute, excuse me.
1976. But each state police organization in of the 13 original colonies had a color guard, and we marched in order of admission to the Union, so we were fourth. Some of our friends to the north actually wanted us to subtract 4 years for the Civil War, but they maintained us as fourth. So
good history, and you were there for it. Was the building air conditioned when y'all signed? Wait a minute, I won't go any further. I think all members have voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of SB 369. The yeas are 173, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Herbert Campbell. Honoring the centennial of Scouts BSA Troop 1. Recognizing March 11, 2024 as Blue and White Day at the State Capitol. Commending Bella Day Berry, Marina Hirsch Dantas, E. Silva, Maddie Hardy, Hannah Horowitz, and Cars Quarles. Congratulating and commending Angela Washington for receiving the 2024 Yellow Rose Nikki T. Randall Service Leader Award. Recognizing and commending Gwen Redding, and recognizing March 7, 2024 as Women in Radio Day at the State Capitol. Commending and congratulating Dora Miltier. Commending and the benefits and contributions of purebred dogs, and recognizing May 1st, 2024 as Purebred Dog Day in the State Capitol. Recognizing and commending the Duluth Rotary Club. Recognizing and commending Atlanta Influences Everything, recognizing Medal of Honor recipient Colonel Ralph Puckett Jr., recognizing and commending Atlanta Fashion Week, congratulating and commending Muskogee County School District's 2024 Teacher of the Year, celebrating phenomenal women on International Women's Day, recognizing and commending Georgia Corps and the 5 regional cancer coalitions for sponsoring February as Cancer Prevention Month in Georgia, recognizing March 11, 2024 as Philan Day at the State Capitol, recognizing and commending Sumner Maxlow, congratulating the North Hall Middle School Girls Cross Country Team for winning the 2023 State Cross Country Championship meet. Congratulating the North Hall Middle School Boys Cross Country Team for winning the 2023 State Cross Country Championship meet. Recognizing and commending Marty Owens as the Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia Gainesville 2024 Women of Distinction, and recognizing March 11, 2024 as Pace Day at the State Capitol. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? Chair hears none. The resolutions are adopted. We will have a couple of announcements, but we're going to do a couple of further actions right here, and we will recess for lunch. Chair recognizes Representative Tyler Paul Smith for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move this House disagree to the Senate amendment to Senate Bill 73.
Representative Smith moves that the House disagree to the Senate amendment to Senate Bill 73. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Senate Bill 73 by Senator Tillery, the 19th Brass, the 28th Hatchet, the 50th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions relative to telephone service.
Representative Smith is recognized to explain the Senate substitute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, the reason that we moved for this is that some language that was supposed to have been included and a couple of commas there were not included to be as specific as what we needed to within this, and that is the reason for the disagreement, so we can get this right, and when it's signed into law, that those who have to interpret it can do so properly.
On the gentleman's motion that the House disagree to the Senate substitute amendment, is there objection? Chair hears none, and the House has disagreed to the Senate substitute to Senate Bill 73. Yeah, that's some. Representative Tyler Paul Smith is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House disagree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 126.
Representative Smith moves that this House disagree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 126. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 126 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Gunner of the 8th, Evans the 57th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 6, and Title 5 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to appellate practice so as to change a provision relative to judgments deemed directly appealable.
Chairman Smith is recognized to explain the Senate substitute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Upon reading the Senate substitute, we found that there was an issue with the procedure within this out-of-time appeal structure that we are trying to create and to correct as we were guided to do by the court across the street. And so by disagreeing to this, we've already started negotiation with the Senate to hopefully come to agreement on making sure that the procedure is described more succinctly in the bill. And that is it, Mr. Speaker, and with that,
You have no questions.
okay, I'll yield the well and ask this body's favorable consideration.
On the gentleman's motion that the House disagree to the Senate substitute, is there any objection? Chair hears none, and the House has disagreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 126. We have a couple of announcements. We also will be taking page photos during the lunch break as soon as we break for lunch. So if you have a page here today, I encourage you to come on down to the front. Representative McLean, there he is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just want everyone to know that the Working Family Caucus will be meeting in room 307 at CLOB, and there will be lunch. Our luncheon sponsors are the Southeastern Cooperative Regional Council. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir. Chairman Knight is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to remind everyone that tonight, Thursday night tonight from 5 to 8, we're going to have our annual Georgia Legislative Sportsman's Caucus Day at the Range. That is going to be at Stoddard's Range and Guns, and that's at Bishop Street in Atlanta. So if you plan on being there, how about shooting me a text or my administrative assistant a text and let us know that you're going to be there. We would certainly appreciate it, and we welcome everyone to come out who's a member of the Sportsman's Caucus and join us and support our Sportsman's Caucus here at the Georgia Capitol in the House. Thank you.
Thank you. Leader Estration is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There will be a committee chairman's lunch at noon in room 403 of the Capitol.
Chairman Mitchell is recognized for an announcement.
The Democratic Caucus will meet during lunch in 605 in the CLOB. Thanks so much, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Henderson is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hats off to the House Spouses Group that had an exclusive luncheon at the exclusive Piedmont Driving Club. This was spearheaded by the First Lady of the House, Dale Burns. And during that luncheon, they celebrated along with my husband for his birthday. So can you, colleagues, help me celebrate my husband's birthday? Stand, honey. Happy birthday, baby. Happy birthday. And hats off again to First Lady Dale Burns. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I've already heard that was a great event. All of our spouses were there. Okay. Page photos, House in recess until 1 p.m. 1 p.m. today. House will be in recess until 1 p.m.